Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. It's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing on this Indian summer day? Oh, sorry, that was a sorry.
That's
I'm showing my age a little bit here. That was
it's okay.
I
It's pretty.
apologize. That was extremely inappropriate. I
No,
apologize.
it's I'm not. It's all good. It's made me laugh because I happen to be of
Yeah, you
Indian
are Indian,
descent.
right? Exactly.
so so you're not wrong. It is sort of you're spending time in summer with
With an
an
Indian man.
Indian
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's okay. You're
No, so
technically
I, I'm
okay.
I'm be-
No harm.
I'm becoming an old man. When I was a youngster, a late summer that is what it was called.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I know. I've heard that term myself. I am old as you are, even
yeah,
older than you, and
yeah,
I've heard that.
yeah.
In fact, I've heard. I thought there was a movie called that or
There isn't
something.
it with Bill Paxton
Yeah,
and a few other
yeah.
people. Yeah,
So there we go. It's okay. You had no ill intention. You were simply just conversating. And yes, my personal Indian summer is just fine.
okay,
It's
good. I'm glad to hear it.
yeah,
That's the direction we're
yeah.
going with on this one. Yes,
Yes,
but
yes.
I do apologize. It's just my old age getting caught up with me a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all good on my side. Sounds like you had a good weekend as well. We were talking before stream just about your adventures as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in general, good. I have a little bit of lack of sleep from flying, but I'm okay in general
Okay.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Um,
were out and about visiting family last weekend.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I can get going on working on stuff, and then we can kind of roll into talking about whatever,
Yeah, that
and
sounds
awkwardly
good.
transition to yeah. Let me share my screen. Here we go. And all right. Well, it feels like we've been on these set of shots for a while in a way, but I am still working on them. We still have some rough animation kind of in place for all this stuff. Um, I will work on this where she actually kind of tightens her grip on the warhog to ride the warhog a little bit, do kind of a Buster Bronco, whatever, or bucking, and steer a lot of
Yes.
them towards safety for the
Yes.
town.
Well, for the town. Yes, for the
For
town.
the town.
That's what's
For
critical here.
them,
Yeah.
for them,
Yeah, not so much.
not so much. It's animation. We kind of can dispose some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did want to kind of bring this up too. I was gonna show Adobe Illustrator came out with this thing called Turntable. It's in their beta. I don't know when it's going to officially get released. It does use AI generation. Um, I've tested it. I wasn't really happy with the results. I don't know whether it's worth showing right now or not, or we can just move on. I'll keep working on this stuff. I mean, it's interesting. I think with how there's all this evils of AI and everybody hates this stuff. I think in this case, even though Adobe is considered part of the evil empire, sometimes a lot of people will refer to that. I get frustrated with it myself. I think that this particular tool could be useful, and it's not really. Yeah, it's more useful than terrible, I guess you could say, but it still didn't work for our needs. Anyway, it's a whole other giant mystery box thing. Maybe I can bring it up next week or whatever, or you and I could talk about it later. But just a side note.
Yeah.
Now I'll shut up
Yeah.
and I'll shut up and draw.
It's okay. I think I know which app you're talking about. It's the one where it can take a 2D image and sort of interpolate it into a 3D object based on a single 2D frame.
Yeah, let me. I'll show you what I did.
Okay. Yeah,
Do it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
curious. Yeah.
So here, I mean, through our adventures of doing our stream, I've done all the poses for the most part that I kind of need for the Warhog. Although I'm gonna need a top-down one soon. But I mean, I've done the front, all the sides, all that kind of stuff. But I also threw it into Adobe Illustrator here, and this is the rotation. How do I reset this? Let me see if I can reset it. Is that possible? Yeah, reset. So here we are. Here's what it gave me. But if I go to turntable, I can actually rotate the artwork now. And it almost kind of works, but then you
Almost
kind of
kind of
see,
it starts breaking
yeah,
down. Yeah.
it
Yeah,
does
yeah,
starts
yeah.
breaking down a little bit. But there's some poses that are almost kind of nice. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost usable for us.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, then
Yeah, you
it
get
goes
weird
next to
legs. Yeah.
weird legs. Yeah,
Doesn't understand
um,
yeah.
it doesn't know exactly because Calamity Jane's world is pretty abstract, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't know what to do with human abstraction. I'll throw a hoof here, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that might work. But it's interesting because you can actually go up and down and rotate it. So let me do that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go up. Well, supposedly go up. Yeah. So now I'm gonna do an upper view, and then you can still rotate it, but look how it breaks
Yeah,
apart. You can't
very. Yeah, breaks
really.
apart real bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can go down, and I'll go down a little bit. That's almost kind of nice. I mean, it's inspirational.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
that actually,
strong inspiration. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I
Definitely
kind of
not
wanted to throw this out
usable,
here.
but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one pretty much. I mean, I could use a lot of this in a sense, but I mean, at this point, I might as well just draw it myself. But I like the spirit of it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but still kinda. It's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it gave him three nostrils, which I really love.
Yeah, and again with AI, as everybody as we get used to it as humans, when once you start staring at it, even for a little bit of time, you start to catch all the
It
things that
all
don't make
breaks
it right.
down. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
starts
yeah,
to
yeah.
break down the longer you go. So, anyways, but this is the mini demo of me using the turntable. Not really ideal results for what we need for Calamity Jane, but it was kind of at least worth a shot to kind of play around with it and throw Warhog in there because we are throwing Warhogs all over the place with Calamity Jane anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well throw
Mm-hmm.
it in Illustrator too.
I mean,
Anyways, but back to our
I,
regular schedule doodling.
I think it's cool. I
Yeah,
mean, again, the only application I've found for AI that I actually think is useful is an inspiration point, right? Like,
yeah,
oh, this is
yeah,
an interesting word that I've not used in a while, or oh, that sentence has an interesting context. But for me, for what I'm looking for, it's never even remotely close to what I want. Um,
hmm
and maybe it's just because I, in my own head, have a very clear
yep,
sense of what I want something to sound like, and obviously
yeah,
AI is never going to sound like what I sound like in my head.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I've only ever used it as sort of a like, hey, give me an idea so I can throw everything else that you have produced away and then actually create something that's human, right?
yeah.
Um, but it is a cool tool. It's pretty seems like a fun thing to play around with.
hmm
But
Yeah, I think just like what you said, like if you have writer's block, there
mm-hmm,
we go. You can go
mm-hmm,
ahead and throw out something at me, and then
mm-hmm,
you just kind of writers and doodle it out
mm-hmm,
from there a little bit. It's great for that type of stuff. For ideating, it's terrific.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, that was
that's
that
cool
was the
though.
latest on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a cool
interesting
little
episode.
yeah. I'm gonna hijack the conversation though, and I'm gonna try to justify it with a transition because of the
Hijack
concept of
away.
AI. I
Yeah.
have become recently in the last month or so, I guess it's been about a month, um, become obsessed with no, less than a month, a book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not. A
It
book
is,
series.
yeah, it's a the premise is, and I don't want to like go too much into it, although it's revealed pretty quickly, but basically a guy and his ex-girlfriend's cat find themselves trapped in a real life dungeon crawling video game
Oh, that's kind
where
of
the
cool.
stakes are actual death and they have to fight for survival.
So, I mean, this is pretty much just taking the Dungeons and Dragons '80s cartoon and just kind of raising the stakes even more, even though they could have been killed and
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
children could have been killed. That's the first thing I thought about when you started describing this. Is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you recall, I don't know if you remember what the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from the
Oh, of
'80s,
course I
but
do. Yeah.
they got yanked from that carnival or something like that. Then they were just getting Tiamat blowing fire on them every couple of weeks and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that sounds interesting, though. So the
It's
dungeon crawler, though.
Dungeon Crawler Carl. It is there is some obvious Dungeons and Dragons inspiration, but it is, I'd say, more lives in the world of video games. Um a lot of the jargon, most of the jargon in fact is more um in the parlance of uh like video games and not tabletop RPGs.
Uh huh.
Dungeon crawlers Dungeon it, words Dungeons and Dragons is referenced throughout, and obviously most modern video game RPGs owes a lot to that origin point, but for the most part, it's more of a video game than a Dungeons and Dragons session. But it's quite good. I just finished book 3 today.
Hmm.
There are 7 books in the series at this point, with I guess a potential of, I mean, if you really wanted to go for it, 18 books. Because the world is split into different levels, and you, as they successfully complete one of the floors, they continue to descend.
Okay.
Um, and aside from the first book, every book appears to be about a single floor of the dungeon.
Oh man, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty intense. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine? Well, I guess the floor could really vary it up a lot. Like, I'm thinking about like when I'm thinking about a floor, I'm thinking like again throwing the '80s kid stuff out there, but Gauntlet in the arcade, that's one floor, but it's all the same palette and everything like that. But a floor could be anything, really, right? Like a Zelda
Yeah,
dungeon, for example.
everything that you're saying is in the book. Uh,
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Homages to Gauntlet. Any floor could be anything. All of
Huh?
these things are addressed even within just the first 3 books. Um,
Jeez.
it's extremely funny, unbelievably violent. There is a
Mm-hmm.
sequence in the 3rd book that I was like, I because it's just been, the series has just been optioned for television, and I was reading it, and there's a sequence in the 3rd book where I'm like, I don't know that even Amazon would be willing to put this on the screen, and they're the company that did The Boys, right? Like it is,
So is that much more
it's
gratuitous?
so violent. I don't want to say anything because it is an amazing, hilarious, and really tense section of the book. So I really want to dance around this a little bit because
Okay, all right.
um if you decide to read it, I want you to get to this section and go like, what the fuck just happened?
Um,
Um
how how would you say the reading is it kind of a relaxed reading, or do you have to actually really concentrate a lot? Like I'm trying to think about like Lord of the Rings, for example. I kind of had to put a little bit of concentration in some of the writing because it's almost like ye old English, almost. At a certain point. How would you say the reading, like the writer's style for this book is? Like, is it pretty easy?
easy breezy.
Huh?
Especially since you'll know all the jargon, and it will just
Okay.
be a second language to you. You'll
Okay.
understand every single geeky reference that's made, but it's not nostalgia baiting like that horrible book Ready Player One was, right?
Okay. All right.
It speaks and lives in the parlance of the video game world and the Dungeons and Dragons world, but not to stoke the flames of nostalgia. It is utilizing those tropes in a really clever way in a novel format, right? Um, it
Wow.
it doesn't,
That's
he doesn't spawn a DeLorean at any point, right? He, like, it's all relevant to the story itself rather than just drawing on, you
just
know.
kind of paint by
Hmm.
numbers. This is from the '80s. I'll throw this in here. This is from the '80s. I'll throw this in
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
That was
exactly.
my next question because this is very subjective. I
Hmm.
I agree with you on Ready Player One. It did feel like it was nostalgia baiting, but when you're describing this book, like what is it about this book that feels genuine versus Ready Player One that isn't? I think we already kind of glossed on it a little bit by saying Ready Player One felt more superficial because it was just looking at the decade and went to what's the most popular things in the decade and throwing him in there, right? I think that's the difference. Whereas,
Yeah.
yeah, your Carl book, it's much more in the weeds, and super fans of that type of stuff will get it.
I mean, I think it's accessible. Um, my friend who got me into it is
Mm-hmm.
not she's not a huge gamer. She does play games.
Uh huh.
But she is not what I would consider gamer, but she got it pretty easily, and my girlfriend is currently
Uh huh.
listening to the audiobook of it, and she's not had any trouble understanding what's going on in the book. I suspect there's some terminology and some lingo that you can be missed if you're not as steeped in it as we are. But for the most part, it's extremely accessible. And in as much as there are references to other things, it's only in passing, or as part of a joke. It's not a It's
Not
not
a crutch.
yeah, it's not a crutch. Yeah, that's exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is very easy to read. I like I said, I've already gotten through the first three books. The first book is close to 500 pages. The second book's like 300 pages. The third book is over 500 pages. And I started reading it, I think, the series on September 3rd or something. And, we're less than 2.5 weeks out from that, 20
Mm-hmm.
days
Mm-hmm.
or, 2.5 weeks out. And
So
I'm
you've
through the
been,
first three books. So,
yeah.
very easy read, very fun, but not vapid or superficial. They're not like a Dan Brown novel where you'll read the whole thing in a day and go, I know I read that book, but I don't remember a single thing about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
you read it and it sticks with you. There'll be things that happen in the third book that you're like, oh, that's right, that did happen in the first book, right? And then you remember it, and you don't find yourself having to get to a wiki and reviewing things
Mm-hmm.
or going back and thumbing through the first book. You just remember it happened because the stuff is impactful and it is memorable. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I don't know. There's 7 books. Maybe it gets really bad. Um, I've only read the first 3, but at the very least, I highly recommend the first 3. Really, really fun, very funny, violent as hell. Um, at times, heartfelt and sort
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, heartstring pulley, but not in a cheap romantic comedy sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are extremely likable. The two protagonists, Carl and his cat Princess Donut, have an incredible chemistry. Matt Dinneman, who's the author, does a great job of differentiating their personalities and playing their character traits against each other for very good effect. And then all of the ancillary characters who come in and out um, are also really fun, um, both in scary ways and in you play really well off of these character kind of ways.
Uh-huh.
Really dig all of the characters, not just the good guys, but the villains as well. So, uh,
Are there recurring villains
oh
in a
yeah,
sense,
oh
or
yeah,
okay?
oh yeah, yeah. There are established reoccurring villains that come back over and over again. So, it is honestly, I'm through book 3, and really, this could have been a single Neil Stevenson novel. The books don't really end. It's just the last chapter happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when you start the next book, it's just like, oh, this is just the next chapter, right?
Okay.
Um,
All right.
so it is without a doubt very, very serialized. You couldn't jump in on book 3 and understand anything about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So you really do have to read it in sequence, otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued. I'm definitely gonna try to go. I'll check it out. I am wondering though whether it's worth it to get the audio book. Like, who reads it? Like, is it somebody that well known or a
I
good
don't.
voice actor that does it? Or I wonder.
The voice actor's good. Um, my problem with audiobooks, and it has nothing to do with this book in particular, it's just in general. I,
Mm-hmm.
I like to read, and
Yeah.
the voice in my head as I'm reading, I'm familiar and comfortable with.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so when I listen to audiobooks, it's sort of weird because the voices aren't what I would imagine them being in my head. So this is totally a me thing and not anything specific to Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think the voice actor is pretty good, actually.
So
It
you've heard the
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, yeah. Katie will listen to it as we're going to sleep sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've already read it, so I'm just it's interesting to listen to a voice
Uh-huh.
actor talk about or read through a book that I have read and see how the actor interprets things that I have read and read in a particular way in my own head, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But no, it's good. I mean, the narrator is good. Really captures the flavor of of the books, the spirits of the book, spirit of the books. So yeah,
Mhm.
the audiobook, if you are not really much of a traditional reader, I'd say the audiobook is a really good way to get into it.
Okay, noted. It's on my reading list. I'll
Yeah.
definitely add to it and eventually get around to it. I mean, the problem is that my backlog of video games I'm working through and everything else. I don't know when I'll get around to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's always hit or miss. You never know when something works and when something doesn't. But I think more times than not, I think I mean, we kind of exchange recommends all the time, like when even during our stream or whatever. Um, and sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. It just depends. But yeah, it sounds like this is up my alley too. It sounds like I know the verbiage and the inside, sort of the
Oh yeah.
local knowledge of the book to
I would I
nerd out a
would
little bit.
yeah, I would be surprised if any of the tropes went over your head. Um
Oh
I would
man,
be like, "Really? You didn't understand that?"
yeah,
Okay. It
yeah,
yeah, you're a gamer nerd just like I am.
yeah.
Um
Sadly, that's our lot in life, I guess.
yeah, and there are there are definitely references in these books that I know non-gamers it's just going to go right over their head, and I read
Okay.
it and I kind of laugh doubly hard because it's funny while simultaneously knowing for a fact that only people who play video games regularly are going to get this joke, right? And
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm,
what's called in the in the TV business, I don't know if it's still called this, but used to be called a 10 percenter. And it's a joke that only 10% of your audience is going to get. And you don't want to put them in there all the time, but you do want to put them in there for your super fans because it's like a treat for them. They feel like they're in on
mm-hmm,
the joke when you do that.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
he does some really good 10 percenter jokes that I really, really appreciate and think are pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Cool. I will definitely check it out. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'll probably do the same thing. I mean, I was thinking about this, the audiobook stuff. Like, for example, if I'm reading a Star Trek novel and it's Next Generation, listening to it in Picard's voice, if you can find that, is really nice. Or
mm-hmm,
if it's a
mm-hmm,
biography of hearing it from the source material or from an actor from the show or something, it does kind of add something to it. I think
mm-hmm,
because your imagination's already kind of been you know suggested to kind of think of things already visually. But if you're reading a book for the first time and there's no existing visuals to go with it at all, then I could totally see uh, reading it and having your inner voice do it instead. I mean, a great example is the Harry Potter books. I started reading those before the movies, before all that stuff came out, and then it's kind of more fun to see like when Christopher Columbus, I think, directed the first few,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
seeing his vision of what I was thinking about in my head, and
mm-hmm.
comparing notes. I don't know. I'm sure. Did you read Harry Potter? I mean, we're getting really.
I've read through The Prisoner of Azkaban, and when I
That's the
finished that,
best
I'm
one.
like, yeah, I was like, all right, I don't need any more Harry Potter.
Wow, you just went right to okay. You went
No,
right to
no,
Prisoner of
no, no, no. I
Azkaban.
read through it. I
Oh,
read the first three
oh,
books. Yeah, 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 yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do the whole marathon either. I stopped at like the Tri Wizard tournament, just like maybe one or
Oh,
two
that
books
Goblet of
after the
Fire.
Azkaban.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, same thing. But we were at Warner Brothers at the time, so it was in the air. We had
Mm-hmm,
to.
mm-hmm,
We're always living and breathing Harry Potter stuff, left and
mm-hmm.
right. So, yeah.
I mean, they had that.
But
I don't. I doubt it's still there, but they had that like permanent Harry Potter prop installation
oh
on the
yeah,
lot. You remember that?
yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah. I
was
think they
fun.
still. I think they probably still have it there. I mean, it's kind of a cash cow for them to kind of keep the topic of Harry Potter always out there in the universe, and I think that's why they're doing the TV show now. I don't know
Yeah,
really why. It
yeah.
hasn't been long enough, but whatever. We're not there anymore. We have to worry about it. So
Nope, not my problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All
Um,
right. So was that the one topic you wanted to take over tonight with, or was that another one too?
I think that was my main one. I mean, I guess we could talk about Shaky Knees, which I went to last weekend, but I don't want to like we've not really ever spent much time delving into music on this. It's like sort of one of the
Okay.
geek topics we've not really spent a lot of time on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but Atlanta had a pretty major music festival last weekend, and I was there for all 3 days. And it was basically my dream music festival. Had some of my all-time favorite bands there. Plus, there was a ton of good new music. I mean, it was Cage the Elephant, obviously my favorite
Hmm.
band of all time. It had Vampire Weekend, maybe it almost certainly in my top three favorite bands of all time. It had Black Keys, it had My Chemical Romance, it had this great hard rock up and coming duo, Girl Tones. That was phenomenal. It was great to see them. Um, it had a ton of new music that I had never heard of before, so it was great to discover them, like Murder by Death and Radio Free Alice and Fat Dog and a couple other bands. It was, I got to see Pixies. I mean, I don't know how much longer the Pixies are going to be touring, so it was awesome to get to see them in concert. Spoon was there. I mean, just Weird Al Yankovic was there on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's still touring?
He's
That's
still
crazy.
touring, man, and he put on a hell of a show. Costume changes after almost every song. He had like skits on stage while he was singing the song. He opened with "Smells Like Nirvana," which is I haven't heard that song in a million years.
Yeah. Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, already, I mean, for I've never seen Weird Al live, but
no, nor
I
had
mean,
I. Yeah,
that's crazy that he was there. I mean, I think before stream we are talking about this a little bit, but I mean, My Chemical Romance already like these are all A-list
yeah,
top billing.
yeah.
KG Elephant is, they can all just hold their own any day of the week or any
Hmm.
weekend, whatever. But to have them all in there, I think you kind of found like the perfect storm of musicians for one weekend. That yeah, I don't think you'll. That's insane. Like
Yeah.
the talent that you just talked about
I
right
mean,
there. I mean,
I was telling friends the only way it could have been more perfect is if the Strokes and the Growlers were there.
uh
Those are like, KG Elephant, the Strokes, the Growlers, and Vampire Weekend are four of my top five favorite bands of all time, right?
huh.
So the fact that two of those four were there this weekend was unbelievable. And Black Keys are in my top 10, Pixies are in my top 10, you know. So it was just I was just it was just one of those sort of once in a lifetime things. I just don't see how they could produce that lineup again next year. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I was just it was insane too that it was high 80s, low 90s all weekend. We're kind of in a drought down here in Atlanta right now, so Piedmont Park, which is where the festival took place, was just nothing but a dust cloud the whole time.
Hmm.
But it was amazing. It was just truly like a once in a lifetime experience for me for music.
Um, and they do this every year.
Yeah, I believe Shaky Knees is every year.
Wow, that's yeah. I didn't even know they did concerts like this. I mean, like over here in California, we have Coachella and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
we kind of, I mean, I feel like locals here, we take for granted that we have that kind of a concert that kind of shows up once a year. But it's gotten so. I've never been to Coachella myself. I myself don't mind just staying home and avoiding the dust and the lines and everything else. But that's my more antisocial aspect of me listening to music, I guess. But um, yeah, I think now at this point, Coachella, what used to be kind of like more of a quaint, like kind of really enthusiasts that are going out to the desert and just going crazy for a few days, has now become more commercialized, and now
yeah,
it's not exactly the same like as Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, but it feels like the same thing where it just kind of exploded, and now its original sense of self is kind of gone.
yeah.
So I'm curious about Shaky Knees. It sounds like Shaky Knees is kind of what Coachella was.
Well, it's not a small festival. I mean, there
Oh, it's not.
were at least like 200,000 people. The
Wow, that's a no. Never mind.
I'll have to yeah,
That's crazy.
I'll have to send you a video. The headliners the whole weekend. Opening night was Deftones. My Chemical Romance was Saturday, and then Blink 182 was Sunday.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy, man. I can't believe you saw these people
Yeah,
already.
just
Already.
it's just all in one weekend. Um, and I'll have to send you a video when those three in particular came on. It was I've never seen a mass of people, in a single place at a single time in the density that it was at. Uh, it was just unbelievable. It's like if you
So
took
then,
all of Dragon Con or all of San Diego Comic Con
mm-hmm,
and put
mm-hmm.
them in one field.
And then, do they? What do they? Do they just pick like? Do all of them stay on the stage for like 10 songs and they just go and then it's it? Like kind of a thing.
So
Like, how's it work?
yeah, so other than the headliners, every band gets an hour. So it's
Okay.
not like a full concert length, but you get it's a pretty good set. Um, that no one is debuting new music generally speaking at these things. Oh yeah, like
Okay.
Backstreet Lovers was another band that was there. TV on the
Mm-hmm.
radio, Alabama Shakes. I mean, it's just like it just the list goes on and on. Anyway, um, uh, um, um, so yeah, so there's 4 stages in the festival. There's 2 backstages for the smaller acts and the 2 front stages for the bigger acts, and they just alternate. Mostly so that there's basically music playing at all times. There's no downtime. So
Mm,
when one band finishes, the roadies come out and they break down the one band and set up for the next while the other stage is active and a band is playing. And so you
mm.
basically spend the whole day running from stage to stage to stage. And, you can basically be listening to music nonstop for practically 3 days.
That's crazy. It sounds like a lot of fun, but it also
Yeah,
does sound exhausting.
it was. I woke up this morning and every part of me hurt. Every single
Yeah.
part of me hurt. I'm going to be blowing dust out of my nose for a week, I feel like.
Oh man.
Um,
Yeah.
but it was a hell of a good time.
Cool. And this is your first time doing Shaky Knees?
First time doing any musical festival, actually.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think of have I ever been to a. I have not ever been to a music festival by myself. I've always been to just concerts, but
Hmm.
never having a buffet of talent to run to.
Hmm.
And
Literally, in some
yeah,
instances, yeah.
yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. There's one other thing I wanted to bring this up too. I mean, I'm going to awkwardly transition to this.
Do it. I'm ready for it.
So you give me a recommend for a good book, and again, sometimes, and I do this to you too. Um, I'll suggest something to you, and maybe it doesn't really float your boat, or you're not into it as much. But you did recommend Weapons to me,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
and I wanted to like this movie, Eric. I really did.
Uh-huh.
But I've been meaning to. I just remembered. I was meaning to bring this up to you. Yeah, but I don't know how to avoid the spoiler aspect of it. I'm not sure what we can do. Is it even in theaters anymore? I don't know
No,
if it's even.
no, it's not in theaters anymore, I don't think.
I think I think the statute of limitations is over now, right? Where we can kind of
Well,
talk about it. What do you think?
I think anybody who's listening to this at this point who hasn't seen Weapons, who desperately wants to see Weapons, I think that
I'll.
they have the agency to exit the stream for the rest of the evening. So I'm going
Yeah,
to pull the brakes off of spoilers at this point because we really haven't had a chance to have this conversation yet. So I'm ready for it. I want to hear
it's
why
it's
you did not like this movie.
no. There was plenty to like about it. I mean, I like anything that. I mean, lately I can't think of anything. Actually, I can't think of anything Brolin's done where I've not enjoyed it. I think he always does a good job.
Hmm.
The actress that play the main actress, well, I can't remember her name. Maybe you, I don't know if you remember her
I don't
name.
I don't
She's
remember her
great.
name off the top of my head, but yeah,
She's the actress I'm just looking up right now.
she was in
She was in
Ozark
Ozark.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
What is her name? Uh, Julia Garner. Yeah,
yeah,
she plays
Julia
Ruth.
Garner. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
She always does a good job, even if it's a more of a kind of a where you could phone it in, like the Silver Surfer in this Fantastic Four movie that came out for the summer. She always does a good job. So it's nothing to do with the talent. I mean, they all did phenomenal. I just got to ask, at a certain point in the movie, and I'm going to be cryptic about this, so I can sort of keep it kind of spoiler free a little bit.
Okay.
There's a moment in the movie where things really kind of build up,
Mm-hmm.
and a particular character walks out from the house to go visit Julia Garner's character while
Mm-hmm.
she's sleeping. So she's in a very vulnerable state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're thinking, oh my, what's gonna happen? Oh my gosh, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And they build it
Mm-hmm.
up, and then and then for
Yep.
relief of the audience, we're good. And then this particular vandal or villain type person leaves with just a lock of hair, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My question is this mechanism was great to introduce at the very beginning, but the longer the movie went on, the more I kept going, well, why didn't she just take why why wasn't Julia Garner's character just weaponized like everybody else? Why not just take her parking registration out of her car? Why not just take her credit card or her wallet and just weaponize her like everybody else in the whole movie? Why did she become such a central character where she needed to go? Like there was such a uh like was that the Goldsberg like kind of contract this trap thing, all of this just to center around this one character, but everybody else is no problem. I mean, it felt like it was such an easy fix for the villain of the movie to just weaponize the teacher, just like anybody else. She had no problem doing it with anybody else.
I mean,
That's my question.
there's two angles here. There is sort of the subtext of the movie about the nature of how we weaponize children and then blame teachers for it a lot of times, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of subtext in the nature of what the movie is trying to make a commentary about, for why Julie Garner's character doesn't become a victim. But even within the fiction of the world, she's a great diversion. With all eyes pointing at her as the witch, quote unquote. Um,
Yeah, I could see that.
the actual villain can kind of hide behind the hatred that the town has for Ruth, right? And so the villain has to keep Ruth alive long enough for her to finish her plans so she can make her escape, right? And the villain only tries to kill Ruth once Ruth becomes more of a threat than a distraction, right? So while Ruth was simply a distraction, it made sense to keep her around. But then once Ruth became a part of the problem, like she had her opportunity to capture Ruth, but then missed that window because she wanted to use her as a distraction initially.
I think that helps. I think it might help a little bit. I'm trying to think. I mean, the movies. It's been a while for I think you and I are both seeing it, but that does help kind of rationalize a little bit because Ruth's sneaking around. She's looking around the house, um, but there's other people that directly impact this villain's Gladys's life,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't kill them. She doesn't go through any, like she just weaponizes them. So the whole point is
Well,
she could still weaponize. Like the diversion thing does help though, for
there
sure.
there is also, you know, the villain weaponizes some of the people too for her own personal gain, and then she weaponizes other people as agents of chaos for her. She doesn't need Ruth for her primary purpose, and since Ruth is the villain, weaponizing her doesn't really gain her anything, right? And so it's the second she becomes a threat, she then starts sending her minions out to take care of her, right? It's better at that point for her to be dead than for her to be weaponized.
But the mechanism for her to even get her, in this case, the mechanism is to get her haircut.
Mm-hmm.
She's already at that point. She's already got a death warrant. She didn't do anything in the movie. Just the only thing she really did in the movie was look at blank windows, and she was camping out, and that was already enough for her to go, I need to kill this person, because that's why she sent the mechanism person out to do it. Do you see what I mean? Like, and that's like 1/4 of the way into the movie. That makes no sense. If she's already a threat, weaponize her, just like she did with all the other characters that she's done that with. She just grabs them, stores them in the basement, or she just leaves them in her house every single time, all the way through the movie. But yet, 1/4 of the way into the movie, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get rid of this person. What can I do to get rid of this person? I know, I will just keep weaponizing people that come into my life just to take care of this person when I could have just weaponized her at the very beginning and just taken her parking registration. That was what my issue was as the movie kept going on. I
Mm-hmm.
totally understand the distraction part of it, but it's not. That wasn't the issue. Wasn't distraction anymore. As soon as she went out there to get the mechanism to kill her, all bets were off. Don't
Mm-hmm.
kill her. Just take the parking. Just take the parking ticket out of her dashboard and just keep her stored, just like she did with her other weapons, and she could live her life. That was my whole that whole thing right there is that's what threw me off. I almost like the distraction part though, but that the distraction part was useful all the way up until she goes, "Ow, I'm worried. She's here now, and I need to destroy her. Go out there and take her hair." So that's the death warrant right there, and it's 1/4 in the movie. And then, oh, foiled again. Well, maybe the principal can do it. Foiled again. Maybe this cop can foil. No, just go take her parking registration out of her car. You know where she lives. Go send your junior person back to class and take a pencil
Mm-hmm.
out of the classroom. That's what threw me off of the movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the suspense leading up to that point. But that's what broke it for me.
I still disagree with you fundamentally. I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
worst thing that the villain could have done was bring Ruth into the fold, because this character who is getting all of the attention for the disappearance of these children, if
Mm-hmm.
she were to suddenly disappear herself or to be weaponized in a weird way, it would it would absolutely change the vector that all of the town's focus was on, right?
But
But
see, but again, but Eric, here's the thing: is if she was going to disappear, then why does she even enable the mechanism to cut her hair to kill her? See what I mean? Like she already wants to kill her 1/4 in the movie,
see,
so already
you
that
keep
falls
saying
apart for
one
me.
quarter of the movie. The haircutting didn't occur until at least halfway through the movie.
Okay, then halfway through the movie, it's still the same. It's still the same, like because we still see multiple people, like multiple attempts on her life. So it's not the distraction doesn't work anymore, even if it's halfway through the movie. The distraction is it's not about distraction anymore.
Well,
It totally was the beginning now. I totally get that part.
I mean, but the thing that half of
Mm.
the movie takes place over the course of 6 to 9 months, right? The last half of the movie, well, I mean, like the first 10 minutes of the movie takes place over the course of 6 months, and then like the next, like first half, the rest of the first half of the movie takes place over the course of several days. The last half of the movie takes takes place in the matter of a couple of hours, right? So
Yeah,
from the chronology of the timeline from within the movie, the point at which Ruth is attacked is in the last hours of the plot, right? Um,
so you're saying when she was camped out at her house, all bets were off, and she was already feeling threatened,
yes,
and then she needed to kill her by
and
that
that's why
point.
she needed to kill her at that point. She couldn't do it in front of the house because it would lead suspicion there. She couldn't
Mm-hmm.
disappear Ruth herself because that would only just heighten the attention on the actual villain because of
But
Ruth's
this
connection to it all,
that's
right?
all I guess yeah. I'm getting caught up in the first half versus the second half.
Yeah.
The linear time thing. Was there stamps? I can't remember now.
Yeah,
There was
so
time
it
stamps.
was told in a series of chapters from the perspective of various
Yeah, that's right.
characters.
Yeah, and they were all kind of sort of interwoven, like
Yeah,
parallel,
but
right?
they weren't in
So
taking it at the same time. They were all overlapping. Yeah, interwoven, like you said. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and if you actually look
yeah.
at the chronology of it as a single storyline, the
Mm-hmm.
point at which the villain cuts Ruth hair to the point at which the movie ends is a matter of one
It's pretty
day.
fast. It's
Yeah,
pretty fast, right?
right. But everything up to that, from the point at which Ruth goes back to the school to the point at which she's attacked, is like 3 or 4 days. And these 3 or 4 days has occurred after a 6 month hiatus where the kids were disappeared. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
Ruth has been a convenient distraction for over 6 months. And it's
And then at
not
this point,
until those last 4 days that she becomes a threat. And then the whole second half of the movie takes place over the course of about a single day.
okay, that helps. That helps a little bit. The timing I'm really curious about. It makes me want to watch it again, but also
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I guess for me, it would have been helpful to see the panic to wanting to kill her all of a sudden, because I didn't sense that at all. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
felt like it was just a long kind of storm that
Mm-hmm.
was developing. But I see what you're saying with how it did kind of pick up once she got the hair cutting, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
once Brolin's character recognized that particular posture from her attacker, it all happens very quickly because they check the
Yeah.
security camera, they figure out, what the origin point of all this stuff is, they immediately go to the location, and then the third act climax happens, right? And that all
Mm-hmm.
happens over the span of a single day and night, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that is almost the entirety of the second half of the movie.
Yeah. But again, and this is where I get caught up again. All that's great, but if you just weaponize her, she didn't have to do any of that stuff. If she had to hit the panic button, just
Mm-hmm.
weaponize her. The whole point of the panic button,
Right.
when somebody else enters her home,
Right.
panic button, weaponed,
Right.
panic button, weapon. Well, if this person is a threat and she's no longer useful, that's the binary thing that I'm still having a problem with. Like even if it's even if it's 1/4 of the way in the movie, whatever it's even 1/4 or 1/2 or whatever, the panic button's hit, but yet she doesn't get weaponized, and she could clearly do that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. That's the only issue is she panic buttons on everybody else in the whole movie, but for some reason, Julia Garner's character is special, but she needs to kill her, but yet her purpose is no longer useful anyway. Just like anybody else, she becomes disposable. Just like anybody else, even Brolin's character, anybody else in the movie is no longer useful. They get weaponized, no problem. That's the binary issue that I have with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else I like. I mean, like I enjoyed the suspense. I enjoyed everything building up to that. But as soon as that happened, if if she's a threat, weaponize her, because she did that to everybody else. There was no, yeah. That's my issue. It's
Well,
just that.
I mean, I have given you my
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
perspective,
That
and if that
yeah,
if
yeah. I
that
totally.
doesn't convince you, then
It almost does. It almost does. I wanted to like it, but
yeah.
it doesn't. It still doesn't scratch that itch. If
I
it's
mean,
a
the other
threat,
thing I
everything.
will say is it is a movie,
I know.
and sometimes
I know.
things
But here,
happen because the plot needs to happen.
yes, I totally get it. But that's also, and this is where I get snobby, or this is where, and this I always have these kind of issues with movies like Deadpool,
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine, same thing. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think we talked about this a while back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I totally get it. It's a movie, but if you're devoting, especially in this day and age, if you're devoting attention and time, and you want to get sucked into something, and you want to be immersed into another story, having something where if logic kind of breaks a little bit, it feels like you waste your time as an audience viewer in a sense. I'm not, and of course, you and I disagree on a lot of this stuff. So I've sent you on fool's errands plenty of times on all kinds of stuff when it comes to games too, and it's nothing to do with our reports. More or less, just the critical idea that we spend time watching something to consume it, and
Mm-hmm.
then if it's just and you want to like it, and then one little thing you get, at least for me, and maybe it's this, yeah. Again, it's me being OCD about stuff, and or I go through this type of stuff too. It just that's what angers me. I want to. I just I like good writing. I don't like that. I don't like when writers don't figure that stuff out.
Well, I do think it was good writing, and I do
Mhm.
believe that it was a reasonable. Um, my perspective is reasonable. Obviously, it's my perspective,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Um, the fact that you don't think it's reasonable, I don't know that it necessarily has to do with bad writing per se, because I think the movie was extremely well written. Um,
Mm,
I think it has to do more with what your own expectations of the rules of the world were, and I think that you had honoring, and that's
yeah,
that's reasonable, right? Um,
yeah.
and
I mean,
right,
if as a writer you're setting up all these rules, and if I can ask a question and it doesn't, and like even you and I have debated about it for a little bit, and I still, and I want, and the issue I have is still not answered, and it was a simple, and for with my simple mind, if I'm seeing that and it can't be answered, I feel like that's
well,
I just feel like it could have been answered in some way,
I,
like
I would
but
argue that, yeah, I mean, in this instance, what you say, I think, is a valid question. I suspect Zach Kreger would probably have an answer for you that he was happy
yeah,
with. It doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean
yeah,
that you'd agree with that answer, though, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, so, for my money, I thought that the commentary on the nature of the modern American education system and how we
Hmm.
weaponize children, oh, do it for the children, right?
Hmm.
And then the way we villainize teachers when when they're blamed for the failings of their parents and things of that nature, right?
Hmm.
And just the overall stress of being a parent in the 21st century America. I mean, all of the subtext, all of the subtleties of what he was talking about, even even if you did ask him that question and he was just like, yeah, no, you're right, it's a hole, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The metaphors that he was diving into, the sort of the topics that he was experimenting with,
Hmm.
I thought far outweighed
A plot hole or
a
a
plot
plot
hole.
device.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Also,
Hmm.
the third act twist was one of the best things I've seen in a movie all year. Um, that very last turn in the final moments of the movie was just absolutely cathartic in a way that I haven't felt in a movie in a long time, because you know one of the yes, people want to have the adrenaline rush when they see a horror movie, but they also want that catharsis too. They want that relief, they want that break, they want that opportunity to laugh or
Are you
catch their breath.
are you referring to the very last few minutes of the movie
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
a
yeah.
thing? Oh,
When
okay.
the villain meets her
Okay.
end. Yeah.
It's running. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And it was brilliant. It was exactly what the movie needed. Um, it was satisfying. It was
Mm.
absolutely that catharsis moment that it needed. It was just, I don't know. I really liked it. And even if, for me, right, even if I didn't think that there was a justifiable reason why the villain took the turn that she did in regards to Ruth, even if it was a legitimate plot hole,
There's plenty of other stuff you enjoyed
there
about
was
it.
so much more that I enjoyed the movie that
Mhm.
like that instance I was willing to forgive. And that's not to say that I'm like that with all movies. There are TV shows and movies, and we've talked at length on this stream about that, where there was that one thing where I'm like, nope, you lost me. I can't, I can't stick with you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've definitely I know
But
I've steered you
yeah,
wrong on plenty of stuff myself.
but in this instance, the things that I liked about the movie so far outstripped any failures in the film.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
just was like, yeah, yeah, just one of my favorite movies of the year, frankly.
Yeah, yeah. It was it was a good okay movie for me, but I'm
A
glad that
good
you enjoyed
okay
it.
movie. Okay. There's a lot of
I know
qualifiers.
it's a good okay terror movie of sorts. I just wish I didn't
Uh-huh.
get caught up in simple dumb things, but here we are.
Mhm.
But again, there was plenty to like about it, and I didn't even
Mhm.
think about the metaphor aspect you were talking about. That is absolutely true about the whole. I don't know whether he intended that or not, or
My
if that's something
understanding is
you
he
kind of.
did. Yeah, my
Oh,
understanding is
okay,
he did in
that's really cool.
interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't even think about that aspect at all about the the education system and all that stuff. I thought it was just uh, putting trying to find a vulnerable type of character to set up to
Mhm. Mhm.
go through this whole roller coaster ride of trying to survive and all that kind of stuff. I didn't think about that, but it actually adds a little bit more to it that I can appreciate. Again, his suspense and build up was terrific.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was my first my I really enjoyed the first half of the movie for
Yeah.
the most part, and the rest of it I was kind of like just kind of watching it.
Mhm.
Um, but it was okay. It was fine. It was a good movie. Okay, movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think yeah, not that's the last I could think of for the weapon. I mean, there's other stuff we could talk about offline that are more just silly stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But that
I
was the
think
main thing. I've been meaning to ask you about this for a while because I want to know what.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you got my 2 cents
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that. But yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for explaining it to me because I was really curious at what point it had lost you. So
Man. Yeah. But all good. There's going to be plenty more to see. There's plenty more movies that you were not going to be happy with, and I'm going to love. I'm sure. You
oh
know,
yeah,
so it's not. There's not
without a doubt.
never a shortage. Yeah. But in the meantime, as far as our cartoon, I've been kind of sitting
Yes.
on this frame forever. But we do have Calamity Jane grabbing some fur and and causing some angst for our warhog to steer her over.
Nice.
So we'll keep on working and keep on working on assets.
Very cool.
I think
Very
we're
cool.
pretty good.
All right. Well, we'll call it there for the evening then. Everybody, want you consider hopping on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site. There you can become a subscriber, help us make this cartoon a reality. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, which presumably you already have since you're watching the stream. We're also on Instagram at Calamity Jane Salamander. You can hop over there. It's just another place where you can get caught up on what we're doing on the show and find links to all of our videos and whatnot. But in the meantime, we'll be back next week. Same Calamity time, same Calamity channel. Good night, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Good night.